getting paper on these player haters, old news, money on the other line. So
ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of I'm Not Gonna Hold You, man. I'm your host, Scott. You know where to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Barberchair Scott. You know where to follow HNB Media, HNB Media TV on Twitter and HNB Media on Instagram. You know where to follow the brand of Barberchair Network at Barberchair Net on Twitter and Instagram. Visit our Patreon, subscribe, patreon.com/Barberchair Network, man. And we've got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight, man. Thank you for joining me. We will be back in the studio by the end of the month. So we got a couple more episodes to the end. But let's get right into it, man. A lot of craziness happened in the MLB and in the NBA over the last 7 days, man. The NBA draft happened, MLB trade deadline, NBA free agency has started. A lot of things have changed, especially for some of my favorite teams. So we're going to get into the sound off, man. I want to sound off and thank the general manager of my favorite baseball team, the Chicago White Sox, and that is Rick Hahn. Last week I came on this show and I basically pleaded him to do something to make this team better and make them a legit contender, not just a team that can, get into the playoffs and, try to make a little bit of noise, but a team that really has a seat at the table with the Houston Astros, with the LA Dodgers, with the Padres and things of that nature. And he went out there and he completely dominated. Not only did he go out there and get good bullpen help, and Ryan Tepera from the Cubs got him a solid second baseman, and Cesar Hernandez from the Cleveland Guardians, as they're now called. But the home run of the entire trade deadline was going to get the Cubs closer Craig Kimbrel, who is arguably the best closer in baseball. And now the White Sox have two of the best closers in the game on the same team with Liam Hendriks, who's also he leads the American League in saves. He's been lights out to really certify and bolster that bullpen to probably being the most talented bullpen in Major League Baseball right now. As far as talent-wise, it's going to be very, very hard to stop them. I think that he really addressed all the issues that we had on this team, and it really showed that it was all in. The White Sox have had a history of not going all the way in, just doing enough to compete, just doing enough to get in the playoffs in the few times they've been there over the last decade. But this was actually a real great step in the right direction, and I'm happy. And so now you just got to wait for the injuries to clear up. You got to wait for Luis Robert to come back, who should be coming back at the end of this week, early next week at the latest. And you got Yasmani Grandal, who'll be back next month. Sometime this month or early next month. So that's going to be good to look out to. So I just want to give a shout out to Rick Hahn for finally getting the job done, man. I appreciate it. I didn't have to pull up on anybody. I didn't have to, be angry on the trade deadline, man. So I'm very, very appreciative of that. But there was a lot of other things going on in the MLB trade deadline, man. It wasn't just the White Sox. It was a whole bunch of teams. This was by far the most movement that I've ever seen in a trade deadline ever. This is actually the first time that all the teams in the major leagues made at least one move, that some player was involved in every team in the league. So I'm going to break down, three winners and losers of the MLB trade deadline, man. Let's start with the winners, man. Of course, I named the Chicago White Sox my team. We got Ryan Tepera, Cesar Hernandez, and Craig Kimbrel, and didn't really give up that much to get them. You got to give up a couple minor league guys who, really there was no really any room for them on this roster. You gave up Nick Madrigal, who is Major League starting second baseman to the Cubs for Craig Kimbrel. And, he's one of those guys. He's going to hit for average. He's going to, bat 300. He's going to always stay on base. He can be a good leadoff guy. And I think it's a decent return for a closer. I know a lot of Cubs fans thought they're going to get, the big guns like Michael Kopech or Andrew Vaughn. And I just said on Friday that wasn't realistic to happen. And Cubs fans kind of killed me on the timeline. Like, well, you have to give up good players to get good players. And then it turned around, I was correct. But I will put the White Sox is one of the winners of the deadline for correcting all the mistakes they have on this roster. But I think the biggest winner got to be the LA Dodgers. It's got to be the Dodgers. Of course, they're the defending World Series champions, man. They are in a hell of a division, the NL West, which is kind of like a triple threat Hell in a Cell match between them, the San Diego Padres, and the league leading San Francisco Giants, who have the best record in Major League Baseball. I think that they are by adding Max Scherzer, who was like one of the best pitchers over the last decade, and getting Trey Turner, who's also in the control for another year. It just also for them on so many fronts. It makes their rotation even better than it was before. Join them in there with Walker Buehler and Clayton Kershaw, who should be coming back from injury soon. And also with Trey Turner, you got a guy who can play shortstop. He can play a little third base. And then when you've got Corey Seager, who's going to be a free agent coming this winter, if he does decide to leave and go to another team, you've got an automatic replacement for him there. And I just think that was really, really good trade. I think it wasn't a necessity. Like, it wasn't like something that they were lacking. I still think I would have liked to see them make some bullpen moves. I do not trust Kenley Jansen. I don't understand how he's gotten away with murder for this damn long, honestly. It's like if you're within 2 or 3 runs and he's coming on the mound, you got a pretty good damn chance. I don't really like the rest of their bullpen either. So I would have liked to see them get some arms. They were also in the Craig Kimbrel talks, which I'm glad that he didn't go over there because that would have been cheating. But I got to give them as one of my winners, man. And you can really see over the last couple of years that the Dodgers are becoming what the Yankees used to be. And not saying, of course, the Yankees have 27 championships, not in that aspect. But as far as how they move as the premier franchise in Major League Baseball, they draft well. They have a deep farm system. As you can see, they just give up prospects without a care in the world. And they spend money. They spend money in free agency, which is what a fan base wants. They went out there and spent money on Mookie Betts. They went out there, now they're getting Max Scherzer. They're doing all the things that you want your franchise to do if you're a fan of them, man. So I would give the Dodgers the other winning spot. The third one, I'm going to give to the San Francisco Giants. I'm going to give to the Giants because after a move like what the Dodgers made, you had to answer back to that move to be able to keep your solid ground in the division. As of right now, they have 3 games in the division with a whole bunch of games left. So it's very much a striking. This is something's going to go down to the wire. But getting Chris Bryant from the Chicago Cubs, a last-minute move, and being able to get him without giving up some of your best prospects, especially the name that was been thrown around a lot last week, which was Joey Bart. And that was the initial report that the Cubs did get Joey Bart. But come to find out they didn't. So to be able to keep their young guys, keep their future, and be able to get a guy like Chris Bryant and put themselves in position to be able to sign him during the offseason, because he's going to ask for a huge contract. I think that's great. And he already paid dividends in his first game back when he played the Houston Astros this weekend, having a home run. And I think it's pretty funny that all the former Cubs had home runs this weekend with Anthony Rizzo, Javier Baez, and Chris Bryant. And we'll get to that in a second. But I'm going to give them a winner card for that. I had 3 winners, but I would guess like a 4th one I would give to will probably be the Toronto Blue Jays. The Toronto Blue Jays are in the AL wildcard hunt. They're like 4 games out right now. They have offense. They finally returned back to Toronto, which was great to see. It was the first time in 2 years that they played in front of their home crowd. And for them to go out there and get Jose Berrios from the Minnesota Twins, which I was happy to see because Berrios always kicks the White Sox ass. So it's good to finally get him out the division. Now it's a heavy price to pay. They gave up one of their best shortstops in their system, gave up some prospects. But, you got to give up some talent there when you've got a guy who's under contract control for next year too. And then also getting Brad Hand, which kind of solidifies their bullpen also and gives them a fighting chance in a crowded AL wild card hunt. You've got the Yankees in there who went out there and got Anthony Rizzo, got Joey Gallo, and you've also got the Seattle Mariners who are going to be in that race. I think it's definitely something that's going to help them to try to edge them out. They're going to be going up against Oakland. Oakland added some really good pieces, getting Sterling Marte, and really just helping that lineup a lot, getting Yan Gomes also. Those will be my 4 winners. Now, I've got 3 losers. I think the biggest loser of the trade deadline has to be the Colorado Rockies. I mean, for them to come out of this and not give up Trevor Story, not get anything back for him when he's going to be a free agent this year, I thought was highly irresponsible. They just had to give him up. They could not keep him on this roster. And now, I mean, if he leaves, you get you a little late draft pick, but that's nothing compared to what you could have got for a lot of teams who, needed additions at the last minute. And this is something where it's going to be a real heavy shortstop market coming up this offseason. If you're Trevor Story, you got to be disappointed too, because now, this is not his best season that he's had. a lot of his numbers are down, especially outside of Coors Field. You would like to see him on a winning team. There was a lot of smoke about him potentially being on the White Sox, but they were asking for too much. So I just really think it was a whole fumble by the Rockies organization. It's just a whole mess that they've got over there. So that'll be my first one. My second lose will be the Boston Red Sox. And I'll say that because, yes, they did add Kyle Schwarber, but he's still injured. We don't know when he's going to come back from that hamstring injury that he tore a couple weeks ago. But they didn't add anything else. Pitching-wise, they didn't really add nothing that will put them in the thick of this. Like, if I had to look at the American League right now, I still think the two main contenders would have to be Houston and have to be the White Sox and Tampa. And they're going through back and forth with Tampa right now for the AL East. You know, Tampa just swept them over the weekend to take a 1.5 lead in that division. And they didn't really do anything to bolster their chances. I understand they're going to be getting Chris Sale back real soon, but Chris Sale's coming off Tommy John. Chris Sale ain't pitched in about a 1.5 years. Longer than that, like into 2019. So you can't really rely too much on him when he comes back. Of course, he's going to be on the innings limit. So, and especially the team they're battling right now for the AL East, they went out there and got them a big bat in Nelson Cruz. I just feel like they really did not put themselves in the best position. Now, with that being said, they're still a good team. They'll be in the mix. But a huge swing of a move here could have really taken them to that next level. And my last loser of the trade deadline is going to be the San Diego Padres. There was a report that came out before the Dodgers got Max Scherzer that they were the ones getting Max Scherzer. And it fell apart last minute, and the Dodgers came through and swooped them. I don't know exactly what happened in negotiations for that to fall, but you have to close the door on that. You can't let a pitcher of Scherzer's caliber leave out of that trade, especially going to the division rival team you're directly fighting right now in the LA Dodgers. And they didn't really do anything. I mean, they got Adam Frazier, but that wasn't a necessity. Adam Frazier was a luxury because he can play different positions. And now they're going to be dealing with an even different situation now because Fernando Tatis injured his shoulder last week. And Fernando Tatis injured his shoulder a couple months ago, decided not to have surgery, which would have took him out for a couple months. And he probably would have been coming back around now. Now he's on a 10-day IL, and they're saying if he is not fully ready in 10 days, feeling any better, that he's going to have season-ending surgery. And that's going to be a very big blow for them, especially with the way the Cincinnati Reds have been playing, and they're getting closer and closer in the NL wild card race. So I got to give them my one of my loser cards for the trade deadline. So that's all my winners and losers for this week's for this year's trade deadline. So let's get into our next topic. Next topic, man. Of course, we all know the big teardown, and I came on this show last week basically saying how disappointing it was as a fan of sports. Now, of course, I hate the Cubs. I'm a diehard White Sox fan. I enjoy watching this teardown. But to see how they just decided not to pay the guys who won them a championship, the guys who they brought up from the minor league system, just to be cheap when they're a top 3-4 franchise in the league as far as money-wise and revenue and things of that nature. For them to go out there and just tear it down the way they did by trading Anthony Rizzo, trading Javi Baez, trading Chris Bryant, trading Ryan Cepeda, trading Craig Kimbrel. I've never seen a teardown. Like, there was 9 players on the Cubs who were traded last week. And now we've got, kind of back and forth that happens after a situation happens. So Jed Hoyer, the Cubs GM, was on the radio this past week on the Captain J Hood show on ESPN 1000 in Chicago. And he basically said that this all happened because the Cubs' big three did not want to negotiate with them. And he basically said that outside of a guy like Kyle Hendricks, who he really bigged up, there was really no motivation for them to come back. And he says, you have all these guys say they want to be Cubs for life. They want to be here. For them to not even negotiate and, reply with offers, he felt was kind of disappointing. He even kind of referenced the White Sox, which was a little shady when he said, you got to love a guy like Lance Lynn who says he wants to be there. He sits down with the White Sox and they hammer a deal down, and we just wish we could have got that from our guys. Now, of course, you knew there was going to be a little backlash from that quote. And Anthony Rizzo, who got traded to the Yankees, was on the same network, same show, Captain J Hood show on ESPN 1000 Chicago. And this was Rizzo's comments toward what Jed Hoyer said. He said, why? It just sounds like a bad breakup when someone says they're fine, but they're really not fine. When it comes to the guys on our team and what we did, He said, with all the good things we've did and good people, those things cost money. So it comes down to a business. You want your cake and you want to eat it too. That's just how it's seen. I think it can all speak for itself. There's a common denominator, and is that no one signed. We just had such great memories here that to come out and air and say that doesn't really make sense, but it is what it is. So you can really see the frustration from Anthony Rizzo with the way everything broke down. And he says there was a common denominator, and this is pretty much what I said last week. That common denominator is Tom Ricketts, is the Ricketts family for calling, for crying broke when you're the Cubs, which is hilarious, and you can't do that. And Jed also ran those comments back, said he felt bad about saying that he shouldn't have went out there and said everything that happened in negotiations. But it comes down to Tom Ricketts getting that championship and saying, fuck it. I don't want to invest any more in this team to try to get more championships, man. I just really think it's unfortunate the way that whole thing broke down. I feel like this team on paper should have won more championships. And I do feel like, Jed Hoyer was put in a lose-lose situation. If you bring them back, it probably would have been more of the same. This is a team that since 2017 has not hit well in the playoffs, and it needed a change. But I don't think you need to tear it all the way down. You could have kept one or two and just did a retool. Now the way they're setting up, it's going to be another tough 4 to 5 years on the north side of baseball to watch. And, he's really just listening to what the Ricketts tell him. Now, if you're a Cub fan, you got to be concerned. Is this going to be something that's going to make it harder to build a team here? Is Ricketts going to be even cheap with bringing in any other free agent signings? Or is this just a window he just want to close and try again? That's something that's really going to be interesting to watch. But, it's when you look back at the Cubs run, I think it was an impressive run. It was the most, obviously by far the most talented and most successful run in Chicago Cubs baseball history. 5 playoff appearances in 6 years, multiple division titles, 3 straight league championship series appearances, and of course a World Series in 2016. So you really can't be disappointed of what happened with that. But it's really just unfortunate how that ended, at least for Cub fans. Let's get into some basketball. Let's get into some basketball moves, man. Free agency started on Friday, and as you see, I got my Bulls hat on. I'm very excited for the first time in an extremely long time. I'm excited to watch this Bulls season, man. I got to give it up to the Bulls brain trust, the front office, Arturas Karnizovas, the Bulls president of basketball operations. And Mark Eversley, the GM, they have completely flipped this roster on its head over the last couple of days. I mean, it kind of started All-Star break when you went out there and got Nikola Vucevic from the Orlando Magic. And then there was rumors last week about Lonzo Ball possibly coming to the Bulls. How was that going to happen? Were the Pelicans going to match? And then it came out, it was the first signing on Friday. As soon as the clock hit 3 p.m. Pacific time, it was announced, 4-year, $85 million deal. Lonzo Ball's coming to the Bulls in a sign and trade. And that was awesome because that filled a real big hole that the Bulls had the last couple years. We haven't had a point guard. And if you look at what Zach LaVine has been able to do with absolutely no talent around him, this is exciting to see, what Vucevic and Lonzo can do. I mean, Vucevic and Zach can do with the point guard like Lonzo. And then it just kept rolling. Then even more news came in the day after with DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan is now a member of the Chicago Bulls, man. And that is also signed a trade, 3 years, $85 million with Thad Young going to the San Antonio Spurs. And I think this is big, too. I seen a lot of detractors who were like, what does this take the Bulls? You're not better than the Nets or the Bucks or the Heat or the Sixers. And I'm like, what you have to look at it is like this. I think we need to get past the point where if you're not contending for a championship that you just shouldn't do anything. This is a team that has been moving like a small market team for way too long. Honestly, its entire existence, even during the Bulls championship years, it's not like they were getting pieces every year. These are all homegrown guys. And outside of the year that they signed, that they traded for Dennis Rodman, who at the time his value was at its lowest, to where all they had to give up was Will Perdue. This has probably been the most busy free agency in Bulls history. I mean, you can talk about 2010 But even with 2010, those were none of their number one options. Carlos Boozer was not their number one option. He was like their fourth or fifth option after they swung and missed on LeBron and D Wade and Bosh. And to see them be aggressive and act like this is an actual big market team is huge. And if also something we need to pay attention to is Lonzo and DeMar chose the Bulls. Yes, these were signing trades, but they still agreed to come here. This is something we've never seen players choose the Bulls. And it's just something that is just great to see, something that's new to see, and it's changing the culture. And that's a big thing going forward. And these are all tradable contracts. If something doesn't work over the next couple of years, you can get rid of these. And there's one thing you always know about the NBA. There's going to be a disgruntled superstar who wants to get out. So now they're prepared for that. If there is, let's just say you want to get into the Damian Lillard talks or whoever else pops up and is disgruntled and wants to lead their team. You now have assets to do so. Even if it doesn't come to 2023, 2024, you're going to have max slots for players, for free agents. You know, you've got Kevin Durant, who's going to be a free agent around that time. You got Jokic, who's going to be a free agent at that time. And it just really puts them in the conversation. They'll be competitive. And this is a team where, as constructed right now, and I think there's still going to be a couple more moves. Larry Markkinen is still on the roster. I'm not expecting him to be on the roster by the time the season starts. Of course, he's a restricted free agent. He can choose where he wants to go. But I do think there's going to be another sign and trade that's going to be added to this team. And then, of course, they drafted the hometown kid, Ayo, from University of Illinois. He went to Morgan Park. He's a Southside product in the second round last week with their only draft pick. And that's going to be huge for the city. He's going to be a good player off the bench that I think is just going to be even better. So if you look at how the Bulls constructed now, I think by far we all know the top three teams in the East are the Milwaukee Bucks, that are the defending champions. It's the Brooklyn Nets. When healthy, it really should be the Nets conference to lose. And, of course, I would probably have to put the Miami Heat at in number 3. I really love the moves they made this week with getting Kyle Lowry, adding P.J. Tucker. And then, 4 through 6, I think is where the Bulls are at. They're going to be in that conversation of getting 4, 5, and 6 with the Philadelphia 76ers. We don't know what's going to happen with that Ben Simmons situation. We don't know if he's going to be on that team or not. You can't count on Embiid to stay healthy. He's not been healthy for a full season, I don't think, ever once in his career. He missed a huge chunk of time last year, even got hurt in the playoffs. That's always going to be a question mark there. The Atlanta Hawks, they brought back their whole team, brought back John Collins, just gave Trae Young a massive contract extension. But the thing I think you got to know about the Hawks is now they're on the radar. You can't pop up on teams anymore. This is not going to be a situation where you're going to catch teams off guard. Last year they were, picked to be a playoff team, but nobody saw them, being as good as they were, and damn sure didn't have them in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, of course, injuries had a big part to play with that. Same thing with Phoenix. But why I like this move is because you don't know what's going to happen. NBA has been a league where it's been very injury heavy, and you need to be prepared to make that leap. And I feel like they're definitely going to have a chance to get one of those 3 seeds with those teams that's going to be competing there. And I think that's really all you can ask for as a Bulls fan right now. The Bulls have not been watchable probably since the 2014-2015 season. I know 2016-2017, they made the playoffs with the Alpha 3 with Dwayne Wade and Jimmy Butler and Rondo, but that was a cringeworthy team to watch. I mean, you had Jimmy Butler who couldn't shoot. You had Dwayne Wade who was way past his prime, also couldn't shoot. You had Rondo who couldn't fucking shoot, and they barely made the playoffs as the 8th seed. So there's expectation now for the Bulls. Now, they're going to be exciting. Every game is going to be interesting to watch. It's going to be energy. Back at the United Center, the Madhouse on Madison is going to be finally back. And I think anything less than a top 6 seed is disappointing. They cannot be in the play-in. And I feel like, that is what has to be the standard. Now, and of course, you got the Zach LaVine contract situation. It's a big year for Zach. A lot of people who are Zach detractors say he puts up empty numbers. We heard people say the same thing with Devin Booker before Chris Paul came. And so now you've got your talent. This is the most talented roster he's ever been on by far. He averaged 27 points last year with playing with bums. He's having a pretty good Olympic campaign right now. Now he's got to step up, lead this team, and take them to that next level of a 4 or 5 seed. So it's all going to be interesting. But the big thing here is culture change. The Bulls are finally acting like a big market team. And It's awesome to see, man. The Bulls have always been my first love. Like, of course, everybody knows the Bears are my favorite team, but the Bulls are the team that got me interested in sports. Any kid growing up in Chicago in the 1990s, Michael Jordan was it. The 90s Bulls were it. The 1996 finals is what got me into sports. So to see them being relevant again and just being in the conversation is something that I missed. It's something that I'm very, very happy about. And boy, if you're a Bulls fan, you should be happy. Don't let nobody bring your joy down, man. Don't let nobody bring your joy down, man. So that's what I got to say about that. Let's get into our other NBA free agency moves, man. There's been a lot of movement. Hasn't been a lot of big movement, like not really too many superstars moving, like things of that nature. I knew this was going to be a weird free agency when you had Woj say that Kyle Lowry was going to dictate the market. Now, Kyle Lowry is a really good point guard, NBA champion, but the narrative on him has changed over the last couple of years since the NBA Finals appearance with him and Kawhi Leonard. And he honestly had an argument to be Finals MVP in 2019. And so once I saw that he said that he was going to set the market, I was like, okay, this is going to be something different. I love what Miami did, like I said earlier, getting Lowry, getting PJ Tucker. The Jimmy Butler extension it's a wild one. I love Jimmy. He's one of my favorite players. I wouldn't have gave him that much money for an extension. I don't know what he's going to look like when he gets older. I think in the last year in that contract, he's going to be getting paid like $45 million or something of that nature. So, but they do put themselves in a position to be a top team. I don't think they're a legit championship contender. I don't think they can beat Milwaukee or Brooklyn. But I do think they put them in the top three. And this is going to be a team where it's going to be hard to go against them. They got a little old school defensive type team over there. They've already locked up, and now you add PJ Tucker to that mix. You're going to feel it when you play this team. And that's like a classic Pat Riley roster. And it feels like Pat Riley's just going out one last bang to see what he can do. So I really like their moves. And I do think it's going to be just the East in general got better. I think with the Bulls, with the Heat, and then the Knicks. The thing about the Knicks to me, I don't really know what the Knicks are doing. I think it's fair to say the Knicks overachieved last season, being the fourth seed. There's a lot of people didn't even have them in the playoffs. I was one of them. Whatever happened, playoffs is whatever, but them get into that point, I feel like they need to take the next level and try to add to that. Offense was a huge problem in that series. Defense was not a problem. It's never been a problem with Tibbs teams, but they had nobody be able to go bucket for bucket with Trae Young. And I feel like, they didn't do anything, brought back Derrick Rose, which is good. Derrick Rose was one of the best players on the team last year. He's the only reason that series was even competitive. I don't like the Evan Fournier move at that price. I just don't understand it, giving him $74 million. I think he's a decent player. He can get his own shot, but that's not really a game-changing move. And then today they traded for Kimbrel Walker, New York product from the Bronx. He's going to be coming back home. That's going to be something that's going to get the fan base excited to see him be able to play in the Garden again. But you can't really rely on Kimba anymore. Kimba hasn't been healthy in a minute. Ever since he got to Boston, it really hasn't worked out the way that he thought it was going to work out. And for the Celtics, just pretty much, trade him to Oklahoma City. And Oklahoma City saying, look, we'll buy you out, which was something key. We'll buy you out. Tells me that they're not that confident he can bring anything productive. So it's a real dicey move. I'm not really mad at it. I don't think it's a no loss situation here. But I would have loved to see them just make a little bit more moves and kind of like capitalize off what they did last year, because the East has gotten better. There's no guarantee this team is going to make the playoffs. So I don't really like what they're doing over there, but that's kind of the usual for the New York Knicks. Let's talk about the Lakers. Obviously, Lakers got eliminated in the first round in defense of their NBA championship, losing to the Phoenix Suns, mainly because of injury, mainly because Anthony Davis growing injury. LeBron never fully recovered from his ankle injury that he injured early in the season. Now they went out there and they go trade for Russell Westbrook. This is my thing about this. I don't really know what to expect from this Lakers roster. Go out there, you get Russell Westbrook. You got you some solid bench players. Wayne Ellington is one of the best three-point shooters in the league over the last couple of years. You go out there and get you Kendrick Nunn, who the Heat just let walk. You brought back THT, which was big. And went out there and got Malik Monk from Charlotte, which I thought was a really, really good signing. And Carmelo Anthony, This is an old ass team. They brought Melo back, who was a banana boat guy. They brought Dwight Howard back. This is his third stint with the Lakers. They brought back all the old Lakers. They brought back Trevor fucking Rizzo, or Trevor Rizzo's corpse at least. I can't remember last time Trevor Rizzo was good. He wasn't doing shit with Portland. So I think they have a chance. I see you're a contender when you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis when healthy. Russell Westbrook is a great player. He's one of the best point guards of all time. But Russ is a guy in the playoffs. I don't like his basketball. I just don't. I think Russell Westbrook plays a real regular season brand of basketball where it's exciting. He gets good dunks. He gets all these triple doubles. He's missed a triple double. He's actually going to be putting up ridiculous triple doubles in the regular season this year now that he's got the best talent he's had on the team since Kevin Durant and James Harden were his teammates. But when the playoffs come, Russ basketball IQ is very low, and that concerns me. It would concern me if I was a Laker fan. And I don't really know how it's going to work, with spacing wise. They've got some decent shooters now, but we even saw when he was with Houston. Houston had better shooters than what the Lakers have now, and that didn't really work out. So I'm not mad at the Lakers for the move. I mean, they only gave up Kuzma, KCP and guys like that. So it wasn't a big loss. This is a superstar league. You have the opportunity to get a superstar, you'll get you a fucking superstar. But if you look at the landscape of the Western Conference, I think they should be the favorites by default. I don't like what the Warriors did. Didn't really get anybody. I think they're going to be relying too much on Klay Thompson. Klay's coming off that ACL tear. I don't think you can rely too much on him in his first year. It's going to take him a minute to get back. He didn't really do anything. Kawhi Leonard's going to be out for the year. The Clippers swung and missed on DeMar DeRozan. I mean, the Nuggets be back, but we got to see what we get from Jamal Murray. I always say, Jamal Murray, I think he's a bubble buddy. I think he had a crazy bubble playoffs, but I don't really know if he can do that, when the lights are bright. So that's something that I feel like is going to be something that we got to pay attention to. Utah be back, but I still think if healthy, the Lakers should probably be the favorite in the West. I don't think this wins them a championship. If Brooklyn is healthy, I don't think they beat them. I'm not even 100% sure they can beat Milwaukee. And I think the biggest thing with Milwaukee is now they got that monkey off their back to where they're now the champions. They know that they can go out there and beat whoever. That's going to help them a lot. And I feel like Giannis has finally found his role in the fourth quarter. And I don't know if the Lakers can combat that. And it's an old-ass team. It's a team that the average age is like 35. So they already had injury concerns before that, and that's just going to go through the roof even more. And this is a team where that they're going to load manage a lot this year. I think if the Lakers are lucky, AD and LeBron are playing 70 games. And then also we got to look at LeBron. LeBron's going to be 37 in December. As great as he's been, father time comes for everybody. And he showed it last year. Before last year, ankle injury we've never had LeBron out that long. He missed damn near the whole rest of the season. It just didn't look right come playoff time. So I don't know if you can really rely on it. And, I'm kind of torn. Obviously I'm not a LeBron fan. Laker fans are some of my arch enemies. But I love Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo's the only player who spurned one of my teams in free agency, and I still love him. And so I would love to see Melo in the finals. I would love to see Melo get a championship. I just don't know how it works. And one thing I will say, it's going to be very interesting to watch. Staples Center is going to be fun. They haven't had full capacity fans there in 2 years. So that's going to be something fun. You're going to have to sell dope to get into the Staples Center. That's for sure. And it's also just cool to see Russ back on his home team. So, I'm not really mad at any of these moves that the Lakers made. I think Rob Pelinka had to do what he had to do. And obviously, Bron had a voice in this. So LeBron says, you want somebody, you go out there and get it. Give him who he wants. Green Bay. So when your franchise guys say to get somebody, you fucking get them. So they're definitely going to be must-watch TV, but I just don't really know what that team is going to be. They give me 04 Laker vibes, but 04 Lakers still made the NBA Finals, so we will see. If you look at the rest of the league, man, I think that's just, it's going to be a very interesting season next year. It's going to be a very interesting, a lot of narratives, a lot of health narratives too, and I just really, really like what the Bulls did. I just love it. I'm excited for the season, man, and I'm ready to go. Those are my thoughts on NBA free agency. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to hold you, man. We are here with another guest, man. I've got the homie Chopz in the building. Pete Chopz from Complex. You hosted a whole bunch of podcasts. Got a lot of good things going on over there, man. He's a diehard Cleveland sports fan. Cavs, Browns, man. We've gotten to a lot of debates over the years, man. So it's good to have you on to talk some football, talk some basketball, man. What's going on?
What's up, man? How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Doing pretty good, man. Let's just get right into it, man. Free agency. Been a pretty busy week in sports in general this last week. You know, I've never seen so much movement between the MLB and NBA all at just one time, man. So what's some of your the things that stood out to you in the last couple weeks? I mean, the last week with the free agency, like, you know, with Russ going to the Lakers, things the Bulls have been doing, and just really what's all your opinion on everything going on?
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway was actually that the lack of urgency that the Warriors seem to not have. I think that's one of the things that stood out to me, because obviously they signed Steph, but like, I don't know, you got the owner saying they're not a basketball team, they're whatever he said, and Draymond responded to it, you know. So I think the Warriors kind of like whatever their plan is has stood out to me. I thought the Bulls had a really good free agency. I think the Lakers rebounded. I don't know how the Russ thing is going to work, but I think they added a lot of good pieces. I think the Nets stole Patty Mills. Like, I think, yeah. I mean, I think that's like not fair. I don't hate what like, I don't know. I think it was pretty good. I think the Heat did pretty well. I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like there wasn't a lot of stars, like superstars out there on the market, but I think teams did well with the guys that were available. Obviously, Kawhi is still out there. Maybe, I mean, he's not playing next year, so, but maybe, I mean, I'm guessing he's going to stay with the Clippers. But, you know, I don't think the NBA landscape changed drastically, but I think like some teams like the Bulls and Heat solidified themselves as like legit teams in the East. And then I think like Phoenix did well, obviously bringing CP3 back and stuff like that.
So do you think, like, as far as like, because we don't think that anything's really changed that much for free agency, where would you put the Bucks coming into the season as far as their chances to repeat?
Well, they lost PJ Tucker. That's going to be tough. They lost PJ. They brought Portis back. I think I saw George Hill is going there. I mean, I don't know. Like, in my mind, if the Nets are healthy, it's the Nets East to win because, but I mean, that's a big if. That's a big if. Is Kyrie going to be healthy? Is James Harden going to be healthy? That's a big if. So we just don't know. I think I would put the Nets as the number one slot of the East right now. The Bucks probably like right there at 2. And then from there, you know, there's, I think, a whole lot of teams that are, you know, pretty good coming back.
Well, what's going on with your Cavs? I didn't really understand the $100
Bro,
million
I don't fucking know.
that they gave out.
The what? What'd they do?
The $100 million contract with the
the Jared Allen thing. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, I guess. I don't know. That team sucks. I don't know what to say. That team. I mean, Evan Mobley. I didn't want Mobley. I wanted Jalen Suggs. I wanted Jalen Green. It sucks that he went number 2. I mean, I don't know. It's Brown season. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, man. They're gonna suck again. They're gonna suck. I don't know what to say.
Well, so that's actually a good transition. Let's just get right into football, man. That's what
it's football season. You see the hat. You see the hat.
You ready to go? You got the football season going, man. The Browns, man, y'all had a pretty good season last year. You guys made it to what's the second round? If I'm not mistaken?
Made it to the divisional playoffs, and we could have beat those motherfuckers if they didn't. The worst rule in football came back to get us, and they didn't call a helmet to helmet on that hit too.
Yep. So what do you got? What's your expectations for this season?
Super Bowl above. What else could you expect us to expect? Bills fans are going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Rams fans are saying the same thing. Like, everybody in our class is saying that. I think, you know, everybody on our level is saying, like, I'm not going to, like, because what's the difference between me saying AFC Conference Championship game is the goal? I'm just going to say the Super Bowl, you know. Yeah. But in reality, I mean, they need to, like, a deep playoff run and hopefully a Super Bowl. That's the goal, I think. You know, they have everybody coming back on offense. They have one of the best offensive lines. They have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Baker, for the first time in his career, is in a system for the 2 straight years.
Yeah, that's
same coordinator, same system for 2 straight years. Odell's back, And then they hopefully, I mean, on paper, the defense looks better. John Johnson, Troy Hill, Clowney, and everything, because the defense was atrocious last year. So in my mind, they should be legit Super Bowl contenders. Obviously, you have to play the game. You have to see how everything shakes out, injuries, all that. But I think that they are poised for a deep run.
So what do you think was, because I know you're a huge Baker guy. You know, I know you defend Baker on the TL all the time. You know, you're going to war for him. What do you think he's got to do to take that next leap? Because if you're going to go to Super Bowl, you know, you got to go against Mahomes again.
I think he needs to do what he did in the second half of the season all season. He needs to have a complete, because he kind of started off slow, then Odell got hurt, and they kind of took off. Is it just a coincidence that they took off when Odell got hurt, or were they just starting to gel and it just kind of happened? I think it's probably the latter. It didn't really have much to do with Odell getting hurt. Like he didn't take off because of Odell got hurt. But I think he just needs to be more consistent and do it over the whole season, because the second half of the season, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Yeah, he threw 2 interceptions from week 7 on the whole season. Like he cut down on his turnovers. He made great decisions. He was throwing touchdowns. I think he just needs to continue to do that. And I think that they're going to really trust him more this year in this system, in year 2 of it, to really kind of take over and make it his own in this offense.
Do you think the running game is still going to be a huge part of it? I know you guys had one of the best running games in the league last year.
For sure. How could you not? Nick Chubb averaged 10 yards per carry in the fourth quarter last year. Like, that's an insane stat. And you have Kareem Hunt. You know, like, you're going to have to still feed those guys and live off that. But the beauty of Kevin Stefanski, and I bet you're happy that the Vikings let this guy out of the division.
Yeah. I mean, we was beating him when he was here, but yeah.
But I mean, if he was coaching instead of Zimmer, it could be different as the head coach. And I mean, but Stefanski is very good at mixing things up. And I think he's just going to be able to really roll on that more in Baker's second season and his second season with his team.
Okay. I definitely agree with that. You guys are one of my teams that, like, I'm watching. I feel like we put the Chiefs on that, you know, pedestal every year. And of course, when we have Mahomes, that's natural. But I'm looking at you guys and the Bills as the teams that's probably more equipped to beat them. Because as great as the Chiefs are, I'm still not a fan of that defense like that. I'm just really not. Yeah.
I mean, Mahomes, when you have Mahomes, it's just
it has so many problems.
He has so many problems. Yeah. And then, I mean, I think people would argue with you that the Ravens deserve to be in that class too, but their training camp is starting off horrendous. Like Lamar on the COVID list, not vaxxed. They're down offensive linemen. They're down wide receivers. Like, they're having a tough time. And I don't know. I think the Ravens are always going to be solid and decent, but I don't know if they're in that level as the Bills and the Browns.
Yeah.
And
you know, I get killed for my Lamar criticism.
Oh, I mean, you hate Lamar. You hate black quarterbacks. So
I do not hate black quarterbacks. I get that all the time. I have a black quarterback now.
Andy Dalton's black.
But you know, with Lamar, I feel like the biggest thing with him outside of the COVID issue also is I don't trust in him to consistently make big time throws, and the Ravens didn't do a good job of getting him any help at wide receiver either, which I thought was going to be the number one target.
I know they're excited about Bateman, but yeah, it was kind of odd that they didn't go after a Julio. They didn't, you know, try and make a splash in free agency at wide receiver. They didn't try and trade for A-Rob. You know, I thought that was interesting, and they lost a lot on defense. Judon's gone. They don't have a lot of those Baltimore edge guys that we're used to. You know, so I think, if I was a bet man, I might bet on that Ravens under. I think it's 10.5. I might, you know, take that under.
Yeah, I definitely got you guys winning that division by like a decent.
We're not favored. If your listeners are gamblers, the Browns are plus 150 right now. You can get some good odds on the Browns to win the division.
So who's the favorite? I know they ain't giving.
It's Baltimore. It's Baltimore. Okay. It's Baltimore. Pittsburgh's third. I mean, I mean, who knows about them? I mean, obviously. I mean, Mike Tomlin has never finished under 500 in a season. That's insane.
Yeah, that's crazy stuff.
But we saw what happened to Big Ben last year. I just don't think that he can make it through a whole season. Like, I just don't think that he'll be able to do it.
Yeah, he ain't been able to do it for a couple of years now. So that's definitely going to be something to look forward to. But let's talk about the NFC real quick, man. The whole Aaron Rodgers saga is over. I feel like he's pretty much there just so he won't get fined. I feel like this is kind of like, I don't like the last dance thing, obviously. This is like a last shot for them. And
Yeah.
I kind of feel like he's going to be putting pressure on each game that is putting, we don't win a championship, I'm pretty much out. What did you think about his whole little, back and forth through the offseason, how it ultimately ended?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know really the ins and outs of the situation. I mean, I heard he was going to retire, like from a pretty good source before he did ultimately come back, and he admitted as much that he thought about retirement. I think he just wasn't happy, and I think the reasons for his unhappiness were probably not completely fair to the Packers, but probably a little fair. Like there's always a middle ground to everything, in these situations. So I think, I don't know. I think they're still, just by default, they're probably one of the best teams in the NFC just because they're bringing Rodgers back. They have Devontae Adams. They have a pretty good defense, I would think. So I think that they're gonna. I don't know. I feel like he's definitely, like, say they lose 3 games in a row. What's Aaron Rodgers going to do? That's the big question.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. So say there's some adversity. Is he going to be like, well, fuck it. They told me they're trading me anyways. So, So I think I think it's going to be very interesting to see if because they started off so fast last year. Didn't they win like their first?
They started off like 6-0, some shit like that.
Yeah, they started off like rolling. So like, if they don't start like that, is it going to be okay? I think that's what I'm interested to see. I think the NFC is loaded. Like the NFC West, I have no idea what's going to happen.
Right. I have no idea what's going to happen in that division. You've got the Rams coming back. They got Stafford now. And the thing I always say about Stafford is somebody who's watched him his entire career. Matthew Stafford is an interesting player because he's not as bad as everybody says he is, and he damn sure ain't as good as everybody says. There's like a medium right there.
But the thing is, now he's with Sean McVay, who made Jared Goff literally took Jared Goff to a Super Bowl. So like, who knows? Literally. But but you can't count out Russ.
Nope.
The Cardinals are always good, and then the 49ers are super talented. And while I don't think Trey Lance is going to play right away, and I don't think that'd be a good idea, they might. That's another situation. Kyle Shanahan took Jimmy G to a Super Bowl. They have 2 of the best coaches in the NFL in their division. So I think that's going to be a bloodbath. The South isn't that interesting to me. Jameis will take the Saints maybe to 8 wins.
Shout out to Jameis for giving us hella quotes.
Yeah, exactly. The Bucs will probably just cruise to that division, I would think. I don't think the Falcons or the Panthers are anything special. The Central, the Vikings are already falling apart. Like Captain Kirk couldn't get his guys vaccinated. So
and that whole quarterback room unvaccinated.
Yeah, really, really, really bad. I think the Bears are going to be interesting. Obviously, I think as soon as it gets to just promise me that Dalton will be starting week 3 against the Browns. How about that? Let's not go.
This is my over under. Now we got feet on the ground now that we have now that we've been covering training camp, and I would say Dalton is doing much better than expected.
I've heard he's been looking good. I've legit heard he's looking good.
And like my brother's been texting me from the practice, like, yo, I'm not gonna lie, he's looking kind of solid right now.
Yeah,
and Fields has been looking good. I think the biggest question mark for me is the offensive line, but I will say I'm setting the over under for week 6.
That makes sense. That's usually when it happens.
Justin, because one or two things gonna happen with Andy. He gonna get hurt, or he gonna start huffing it up. One of the two.
Yeah, and like remember when Baker took over, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna sit him. We're gonna sit him. We're gonna sit him." Week 3, first half of that game, primetime game.
Yep.
He's in the game.
The Jets, wasn't it?
It was against the Jets. He led them to a comeback victory, their first victory in like 2 years. So you just never know. I think it's going to be interesting. I think the NFC East is always interesting. Dak's already hurt. The Cowboys are acting weird about this injury. They're acting real weird, in my opinion. If they can't hide it, though, they're on Hard Knocks, so we're going to see the truth come next Tuesday. But the Giant, who knows what's going to happen? I keep hearing from people that the Eagles are about to trade for Deshaun Watson. So
that's another important thing to see where that's going to happen too. I feel like the Texans are really fumbling. That I feel like they need to handle that.
What can you do? It's such a weird situation. I don't even know. Yeah. I don't even know what you do,
I never thought I would give credit to the Dodgers, but I really like how the Dodgers are handling the Trevor Bauer situation.
Yeah,
and I feel like away. Yeah, they should do that. At least just you don't have all this more pressure on your team.
The big difference between the two is the league stepped in. So Major League Baseball put him on the exempt list.
Oh, that's true.
NFL is refusing to put him on the commissioner's list. So when he's not on the commissioner's list, you have to pay him.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you have him show up? Because he doesn't want to get fined. He doesn't want to lose his money. So it's like, what do you do in this situation? I think I have no idea what's going to happen. Like, I don't know if he's going to play this year. Who knows? But he's clearly done with the Texans, and they're done with him. You know.
Yeah. And they've definitely reached, a dead end in that point. Let's one last topic before I get you out of here, man. Let's talk about the coronavirus situation, the Rona protocols, I like to call it. Big Raj is what I like to refer Roger Goodell. He's not going. He's not losing any money from what happened last year. Those fans are going to be in the stadiums. It's 90% vaccination record so far. What do you think about the protocol and the backlash that it's kind of gotten so far?
I mean, you know Roger about his money. He's not letting any money out the door. And just look at the amount of vaccinated among the age group of NFL teams in the public, not NFL players. It's way lower than what the NFL number is. So the NFL is above and beyond all vax numbers for like their age group.
Yeah.
That just shows you what it is right now. They don't want to lose money. Raj don't want to lose money. These teams don't want to lose money. So he didn't mandate the vaccine, but I mean, those protocols are crazy. If you're not vaccinated, your life is miserable in the NFL. It is miserable. You can't even sit with your teammates. You literally can't sit with your teammates. You can't do anything when you travel. If you test positive, you're automatically out 10 days. If you get tested every day, like if you test positive and you're vaccinated, you can still play that week if you test positive on a Monday because you only get tested once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's a major competitive advantage. That's why the Vikings are so stupid. The fact that Thielen, Cousins, and Harrison Smith all aren't vaccinated, like I believe what Michael Irvin said. They don't really want to win.
Yeah.
They are putting their team at such a huge disadvantage because close contacts, if you're vaccinated, you don't miss any time if you're a close contact with someone with COVID. You automatically miss 5 days if you're not vaccinated.
That's a lot.
That's huge. That means any time after Wednesday during the NFL week, if you're not vaccinated, you're risking being close to someone who tests positive and then getting and missing that week. If you're vaccinated, it doesn't matter. So it's just like, I just don't understand. For one, the vaccine saves lives. That's like the number one thing. I've returned my life to practically normal because of this thing, because it's so effective. A second, it's just like, if you really want to win in the NFL and you want to get your money, how could you not do this? I just don't understand.
Yeah, that's the number one thing. Like, even when I saw the DeAndre Hopkins comments, I was like, bro, man, you talking shit. You got 3 of your mamas, bro. You'll be there. You'll be in practice next week. But man, it's always great talking football with you, bro, man. Let them know where they can follow you on Twitter. Anything you got coming out, going on, let us know. For sure, yeah. Chopz _ on Twitter. Browns podcast coming soon, and then we also have all the complex sports stuff. So yeah, check me out there. Yes, sir, man. Thanks, bro. Thank you, bro. Goofy Mog of the week, man. This week I am going to give this Goofy Mog of the week to Chicago media and Chicago fans who had a lot of negative shit to say about the Bulls this past couple of days since the trade deadline. And this shit is goofy to me too, because the Chicago media has killed Garpax and killed the Bulls so much over the last decade for the lack of moves, just to come out here and kill them again for when they actually do make moves and say, oh, you still ain't got no championship. How is this going to get you one step closer to the championship, instead of looking at the actual goal of being able to open yourself up to many options and being prepared for whatever superstar might be available. And it's also a fan. Chicago sports fans, Chicago people in general, I mean, it breeds a lot of haters. It breeds a lot of haters. And it's always people who are fans of the Lakers or fans of the Nets or fans of, teams who are just not in the city, who always talking the most shit. And that shit just don't feel right to me. I feel like you're a supreme goofy if you go against the home team. And I just feel it's corny. You got everything to say about these teams when you ran from it. And you run around with all these teams who got these superstar rosters and you have no actual loyalty to them, man. I just feel like it's corny in general. I feel like it's corny what the media is doing. And it's just like, it feel like Chicago, a lot of Chicago, anti-Chicago sports fans and Chicago media, if they don't have anything to complain about, then they're just not good. And all that shit's kind of weak to me, man. So I just want them to shut the hell up, especially Nick Friedel. Hope Nick Friedel, who's been the biggest pain in my ass over the last couple of years, always complaining about the Bulls and saying, Zach LaVine doesn't win. Well, you're going to see this shit. So I hope he is somewhere shutting the fuck up. So that's what I'm going to give my Goofy Mog of the week, man. As usual, thank you for joining me. We'll be back next week. I'm looking forward to being back in the studio at the end of this month, man. We're going to get back to that. And yeah, man, we'll be back. Follow me on Twitter at BarbChairScott. Follow HNB Media, HNB Media TV on Twitter. You follow them on Instagram at HNB Media. Follow the brand, the Barbershop Network, at BarbershopNet on Twitter and Instagram. And of course, subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/Barbershop Network. We out. We back next week. Y'all have a good week.
Getting paper on these player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line.